That's what you do. You buy these clothes that cost me and make a difference in it. But we never do that.
Never complains, gets up, gets on, with a smile on his face.
They just want you to sit in your chair and go, hip hip hooray, for the Western press and the Western narrative, regurgitating the same old, every single day, without the truth. If you haven't seen it before, please watch the first two episodes, the second series.
We are on the site of the castle,
and it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
Hi everyone, I've got a little picture. Look at the little picture of me. That's so big I can get us up, to be honest. No bigger one there for me. Let's see if we can. No? Okay now. No. Useless. Poor Frank is useless. Let's see. Ah, yeah. Got me. There I am. Still a little old me. Anyway, after yesterday, oh blimey. After yesterday, do you know what? Absolutely brilliant. So proud of them lads out there. So proud of them. And I wasn't going to have a podcast tomorrow night, but I am. To discuss a few things. You know, Liverpool podcast, that is. So I'm going to have one tomorrow night and see how it goes. See how it goes. Yesterday's pod has over 600. Go away. I've noticed the flags are out now in the streets. I didn't know that. Honestly, that's 600 views. Wow. Brilliant, that. And Christopher says, hey, Frank and Anthony and everyone. Hey, Christopher. And Ezra says, that's where the parade is going to be. Yeah. I've got a great map on it, actually. You know, I'm going to show you things that weren't there. I want to show you something. I think even as was, you know, I think even our Leeds lad there, Fernie, I think he'd be if he just stays with us a while, I'm going to show something. And I might surprise him, actually, you know, because he won't know this. Being honest, he won't know it. But it'll be interesting too. I want to show it later when we start, you know, talking history. And Christopher says, it was fantastic. Been watching all the vlogs today. Yeah, it's been good. Do you know what I forgot to do? No, I'll have to take a tablet in about an hour. I've got to go on these bloody tablets, you know, to ease the pain. So I'll have to stop, if you know what I mean. Fernie says, on the way to the game, Frank, so we'll have to go shortly. Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. Fernie, and I'll do it just for you, mate. I'll just do it for you. Just hang on a sec. right? And it's this. I hope you can. Where am I? Right here, yeah. I'm going to zoom in. No, hang on. I don't know where I am, you know. Absolutely ridiculous. Where am I? Am I over here? Oh, I'm going to. Let's see. Fucking dirt, you know. It's a shit. It's a shame. Let's see. No, Jason's not here. Jason isn't here to do it. But anyway, can anyone see my arrow there? Let's see. I can't get over to this monitor. For fuck's sake. This is ridiculous. Fucking hell. Oh, do you know what, Fernie? You would have been made up with this, mate. Right. Can anyone see this? Can anyone see? You can't you? Oh, there we are. I think Jason. No. Oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, I'm sorry about this, but can anyone see St. George's Hall, then the library over there, and behind the library, you've got like a church right behind it. Can anyone see it? Let me know. Let me know if you can see it. A church. Can anyone see this? Oh, for fuck's sake. Say Jason's not here. I can't drag my little pointer over to the main map that I could show. I don't know what happened there, boys. I just don't know. Full screen layout. Oh, for fuck's sake. The vlog says, yeah, I can see it. Oh, fuck. Has it? I don't know what happens. I just don't know what happened to that fucking thing. I'm sorry to swear if any ladies are looking in. And Jason's on it. Look, just hang on a sec, because Jason's going. No, David. Oh, that was Jason. That was made up. Well, anyway, that church is there no longer. What's in front of it now, believe it or not, is the Sessions House in William Brown Street. And that's St. Anne's Church. Now, I grew up because all that was flattened and Jerry Gardens was built and Jerry Crescent, and I was brought up there. But on the site of the church, there was a graveyard. And that graveyard, we used to go, because there was a bit of green, we used to go and play football on there. We used to go and play football. And, you know, as kids and that. And as I grew up, and, you know where I am today, who's buried there is one of the greatest of all aviators. The greatest of all aviators. And his name was Wyndham Sadler. He was the very first fella to cross an expanse of water. In 1817, from Dublin to Liverpool, because his dad, James Sadler, who was the very first British aeronaut after the Montgolfier brothers, and the balloons, he tried to go from Liverpool to Dublin, and he couldn't do it. He could never do it, unfortunately. and his son willed him. He said, he grew up to being a balloonist, and when his dad got too old, he said, I'll do it for your dad. I'll do it. So anyway, he went over to Dublin because he said about the winds and everything else. And so he went over to Dublin with his balloon, blew it up, and it took him 9 years to blow it up. No, it's it. There's Jason Rock. Love this man. Just hang on a sec, it'll be better. Drag the mouse to the edge of the screen. Hang on, let me do this. Yeah. Can't do it, Jay. Can't do it, mate. Can't do it. There I am. But Jay, can everybody see it? Oh, you can't you? Oh, brilliant. Jason, God blimey. He's going out and he always mess him up. And oh, brilliant. Thanks, Jason. Oh, brilliant, Jay. Now there, you can all see that, can't you? That's the church. That's St. Anne's Church. Oh, thanks, Jason. Thank you, mate. Thank you. He can go on. He's going to a concert. He's got a cheek, hasn't he? Going to concerts and leaving me here and Anthony. But anyway, I'm doing this for Fernie. So anyway, that church, as I said, he was buried there. And he's one of my heroes, any aviator, any aviator. He's one of my heroes. Oh, yeah. Thanks. I've got to say thanks to Jason. Oh, it's great, Jay. It really is, Without him, it wouldn't be a show. But anyway, that church, and what has happened, he's crossed the expanse of water because people were terrified. Even the Montgolfier brothers and other balloonists, they were terrified to cross an expanse of water because if they go down, there's no one to save them. There's nobody there to save them. And it wasn't until the liners came in. Now, the liners, the definition of a liner, that it went in a straight line, and the liners were steamships. And sailors used to say at the time they first came out, what are you on? I'm on sail. What are you on? Oh, I'm on a liner. Because they could go in a straight line, hence liners, because of the steam, because of the engine and everything else, rather than just a sail. And the sail, as you know, blew ships off course. He just blew them off course. So anyway, he was the first fella ever to cross an expanse of water. The unfortunate thing, that was in April 1817. In 1823, he was crossing the moors of Lancashire, funny enough, from Yorkshire to Lancashire, and he went down near Blackburn and was killed. And he's buried, well, he was buried in that churchyard there. And as I said, as a kid, I used to play on the graveyard. because of, it was a bit of green, bit of grass. We never had grass where I lived, playing football. So that was it, thought I'd just tell you that. So made up with that. Absolutely delighted with it. Decent. I don't know where I am, honest. So I don't know where I've lost Anthony as well. Wonder if I can get him on here. No. Can't get Anthony on. I'm awfully sorry. Anthony, can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Oh, blood! I've got no comments or anything. I haven't got any comments up. I can't get the comments up. I'm awfully sorry about this. Fuck it. It's got worse. Let's see if I exit full screen. Well, there I am. I can't even bring Anthony on. I can't bring him on. I don't know where he is. Let's see if it goes down. Where's Anthony? Oh, there he is. I've got him. I'm awfully sorry, Anthony. I lost you.
That's okay, Frank. I was in the green room. I'm just knocking back all the bevies that the lads have got.
Still celebrating from yesterday. I just did that, for this Fernie lad, this Leeds United supporter, and he joins the pods, and he was congratulating Liverpool yesterday, and he's an awful nice lad,
Yeah.
He said, I don't mind the Scousers, he said, I don't like them Manx. Anyway, let's see what he says. Remember the days playing on grass where you could find it, Frank, or on the road. There's not many cars back then. Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Fernie says, is there a memorial plaque up for? There isn't. And that's the sad thing, Fernie. There's one about his dad. You see, I was asked to, there was this hotel, these people got this big building, and it was right next door to the municipal building, Liverpool big council thing, beautiful building. I love the building. And then there was the annex there. It used to be the Conservative Club during the 19th century. Anyway, it's got made into a hotel, and they said for me, they said, could you name certain individuals? He said, without mentioning the Beatles. He said, yeah, sure I will. So anyway, I got them Fernie, and I went in, and I wrote a little booklet as well, to go with the hotel. But unfortunately, the people who were buying us, and after me writing about the thing, they went bust. I don't know what happened to me booklet. It was good because they had pictures of, certain individuals. And Wyndham Sadler was one of the individuals to name a room after, certain rooms. And that was the sad thing. They went bust. I don't know what happened to the booklet. And unfortunately, the rooms were just rooms that people just went in instead of a name and a little synopsis of who it was. Could have just said aviator. But in the booklet, it would have told you all about Wyndham Sadler in July 1817 crossing the an expanse of water. People said it was an Italian. It wasn't an Italian. It wasn't Italian. It was Wyndham Sadler from Dublin to Liverpool, and he was a scouser as well. Thanks for asking there. I've made up, you asked. I'll just go through these, and Anthony and myself will be sure. I hope this math works for me the way I went there.
Well, I was watching you working it. That all seems to be in place now. Jason did his magic, waved his wand.
Well, that's it. But he's gone to a concert, and if it goes wrong again, that'll be the end of the year. But I want to show you something, by the way, boys. I really do. Fairly says, hey, oh, Frank. Hey, oh, Frank, lads. Usually covers you. Fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Tony, the mince pie man. Hello, Frankie. Yeah, let's see. How you, Tony, mate? How you? Love to see you, net, mate. Love to see you there. Lovely wife. As it says, Christopher, flags and pictures. Yes. Barry Alvarez. Even in Frank and chat, hope you're all sober. I was going to say, well, they're sober. Oh. Hello, Frank, hope all as well, says the vlogs. That's Leader. He's a great fella. Big red like a soul. He says, yeah, you can hear me. That was when I asked. The vlogs, Lee says, was at St. George's Hall on Friday for a wedding. What date was that built? Was it in the 1800s? And I wonder why they demolished the church in the gardens. I'll show you all that. I'll show you everything if you're there. Hang on. I'll show you everything. Just hang on. I'll surprise you with a couple of things. I think I mentioned it last week, actually. But I'll surprise you. Yeah, they're all saying, yeah, they can hear me. The Fernie. Remember the days playing on? Yeah, I just read that old Fernie. Yeah, absolutely. Tony, hello, Tony. Good evening, Frank, from your favourite Blue Boys, Tony Jones. How are you, lads? Ah, that's lovely, that. Hello, Anthony. Look at that.
Hey, Tony.
Isn't that lovely? But as you said, Fernie, no plaque. But there is one to his dad somewhere. I don't know, though. It could be. I just don't know if there is. I just don't know, Fernie. Enjoy your game tonight, mate. Enjoy your game. Try and join us tomorrow night on the Liverpool vlog. You know, the Myra. Hiya, Myra. Hi, Frank and friends. Ah, lovely. Ah, not lovely. We're saying hello to one another. Tony, Myra, Christopher. And Fernie says Patrick Bamford has put 5,000 behind the bar outside Ellen Road for the promotion party tonight. For that. Go away. Isn't that brilliant? Oh, just enjoy yourself, Fernie, lad. Hope to see you tomorrow on my pod. And as Christopher says, Fernie, that will be gone in 60 seconds. That's great. And Fernie says, going into the game. We'll catch you later on next stream. All the best, pal, and all of you. Isn't that lovely from that Leeds United lad?
Yeah.
You know, born and bred in Leeds, still there, still going to games. That's lovely. Thank you, Fernie. Hope to see you tomorrow night, mate. Let us know how the game went. But anyway, what I want to show, but I'll have to show it I'll have to show it. Me. I'll have to remove that first and put us on. And it's only because, blind, see, I've been free of pain all day, you know. Well, not all day, but I was taking these tablets, you know.
Oh. Yeah, I heard you saying before you to put it on a new one.
Yeah, new ones, yeah. But I want to show this. It's only a quick one. And it's that. No, that's the Great Eastern.
Okay.
Right, the Great Eastern. Now, Isambard Kingdom Brunel built that. Now hang on, this mast here, see that one?
Yeah.
That mast is outside the cop even today when it was scrapped. And the big mast that you see with the flag on, the Liverpool flag, it's that mast from the Great Eastern.
That's a wonderful bit of history. Salvaged or reclaimed?
Huh? Great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, look at this, lads. You're not going to believe this. PKB Bishop, all the way from, he's speaking from Nepal, the Himalayas.
Ah.
Isn't that lovely?
Wow, it is lovely.
And he's a big red.
Yeah.
He was listening to me on the. I'm glad Myra wasn't watching me on Friday. You know, as one of the lads says, Redbeard, I like your Tourette's, Frank. It's terrible. Oh, I just get carried away. And even Edward says, big up PKB. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
And as Tony Jones says, we're good. That's him and his brother Philip. We're good, thanks, Frank. We are enjoying this beautiful sunshine. We are living in Blackpool now. Go away. How does it know that, Tony? Living in Blackpool. I didn't know that, lad. Because when I was doing, you know, the tours and that, they always came along, those two lads. And I can't do them now, as you know. I can't do them now. This is a shame. Right, and just before we get back to Barry saying, what time is it? What time is it there in the pub? 11 p.m. In the Himalayas. I don't think they have a pub in the Himalayas, do they?
Gotta be.
I just got to thank these lads. And it's got Payton Services for sponsoring the Frank Carlyle show. And it really is great of them because what they do, what got Payton Services to, is offer discounts, really good discounts to nurses, to doctors, anyone who works for the NHS, even the cleaners. They offer great discounts. They don't like to see people struggle. And also, especially for the elderly, they really give fantastic
Brilliant.
discounts. And that's Gap Painting Services. The first class, fully time served lads they are, and fully insured, which is also very important. They do first class work. Please get them in. Please don't struggle. Please don't struggle. Not like me. When I was painting and broke my bloody neck. So please get them in. And Barry says, what does he say? What time is it there in the... Oh, I thought he said, what time is it in the pub? And it's not at PK Bits. I've got my I've got my reading glasses with me because I want to read some things out. And then says, even if Frank and Anthony can't join in beds with me back again. Get well soon, please, Lynn. Get well soon.
From both Lynn.
And PKB Bishop says it's 12:17.
Wow.
12:17.
Pubs are shut.
After midnight. In the Himalayas. God, the Himalayas. Barry acknowledges it. So does PKB. Right, so what I'm going to do, if I can, boys and girls, I'm going to try and work this fantastic thing out. I just got to try and get over it. I'm useless. Oh. Right. Can I do this? Anthony can, yeah. You can see that little land, can't you, Anthony?
Yes. Yeah. Right in the centre now, yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. I've got, can I do it here? Oh, yeah. Oh.
Here we go.
Great, isn't it?
Scotty.
Isn't it? Well, the vlogs asked me to do something, about. Where am I? Hang on, I've got to sort myself out there, boys and girls. Just bear with me. There we are. Here we are. And it's St. George's Hall. There's St. George's Hall there.
Yeah.
And he asked, he said, listen, Frank, what's when's it open and all this? And even St. John's Church there.
Yeah.
He asked, why that went down. But anyway, it was built between 1842, vlogs, 1842, and it opened its stores in 1854. In 1856, Queen Victoria came up to officially open it. So she opened it.
Wow.
And a lad by the name of Harvey Lonsdale Elms designed it. Now, Harvey Lonsdale Elms, unfortunately, didn't see the completion of the hall because he died at the age of 33 because he suffered from tuberculosis, and his physician sent him over to Jamaica to try and recuperate warm weather, you see.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he succumbed and died. He died in Jamaica. And his mentor, Professor Sir Charles Cockerell, took over. Now, Cockerell knew what he wanted because the design was to have fantastic, ancient Greeks, that is, ancient Athens, shall we say, and ancient Rome. So we wanted ancient Athens on the outside, and what you have Corinthian column on the outside, which is Greek, and on the inside, it was ancient Rome because he based it on Emperor Caracalla's steam baths in Rome. Now, Caracalla, not many people think about, but never heard of Caracalla. In fact, his proper name coincided with another one of my great emperors that I've got great admiration for and respect, and that's Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
But Caracalla was no Marcus Aurelius. He was a bad dude, he was a really bad man. And anyway, so he changed it, the name to Caracalla. But he did build the biggest steam baths anywhere on the planet. And incidentally, it was the biggest project that the Romans have built. They built no other thing bigger than it after he built it.
Wow.
After he built it. And I've actually been there. I've been to the the steam baths. You know, it's ruined now, but you know there are things that you can still see. And St George's Hall is no different, because what you see in St George's Hall is the bath, the actual bath, and it's a fantastic building. One of the great, even Queen Victoria. Now, Queen Victoria, when she came up, she couldn't believe it. Was her favourite building.
Wow.
It was Queen Victoria's favourite building. She thought, this is fantastic.
She didn't give praise lightly, did she?
Sorry?
She didn't give praise lightly.
No, she never. And I'm glad you said that, because she didn't. To anyone or anything, to be honest. Anyway, that was especially after Albert died, though. That was after Albert died. And Albert came up in 1846 to open up the Albert Dock. That's why it was named Albert Dock, the Albert. But now it's known as the Royal Albert.
Yeah.
But when we jump forward, and you know that I had to bring Charles around when he was a prince.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he said, but he told me that it was his great-great-great-grandmother's favourite building. It was him who said it. He told me, he said, this was my mama's, he called it. Great-great-great-mama's favourite building, he said.
And that was 15 years last Wednesday when we were on.
Oh, go away.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was St George's Hall or Liverpool Council are putting up on social media 15 years ago today, and Lainey and I were there, but only as observers. We were invited by Graham Boxer.
Oh, Boxer, yeah.
But we were not officially busying ourselves, whereas you, my dear sir, were Charlie's right-hand man.
I told you, didn't I, what had happened?
Yeah.
You know, he always wears his left hand in his left hand in his left side of pocket. If he's got a coat or any coat, he's always got his left hand in his pocket, right? So anyway, Frank Richardson, he was the North Hall, that is, you know, where everything is. And he said, Frank said to me, Frank Richardson, the floor was lifted up, you see. This is before he came, Charles. This is a week or so before. And he said, Frank, he said, I know you'll be bringing people in. He said, don't allow them to go on the floor, please. I said, I promise you that. He said, promise me. I said, I promise. I won't allow anyone. Because they had that like a rail around, didn't they, with those lovely, you know, brass things and the red rope. So they had them around. Yeah. So anyway, and he said, don't forget, allow nobody, no matter who they are, because I know that you bring important people in, like actors and actresses. That's what he said. I said, all right, I won't, honestly. So anyway, we were standing on the steps in the bath, you know, where the floor is. I was talking to him, I was going, you see that up there? And he's going, oh, yes. You know, just showing him all my things. And he's going, oh, yes. Wonderful. So anyway, he went to step on the floor. He went to step on it. And I just grabbed his arm, because I was on the left-hand side of him anyway, because he had his hand there. So I grabbed him back and I went, you can't go on there, Frank Richardson said. And he looked at me and he went, oh, like this. But there was two fellas on the other side and they were like, no. So I just went, oh, I panicked. So I grabbed hold of him again and I said, come on, you can go on. I went to the middle of the floor and I was standing there. And you know, like, everything went from me. Anthony, everything went from me.
Well, take the NBA.
I started perspiring and I was like, looking at him like that. I went, oh I didn't know what to say to him. I forgot every train of thought, everything. And I went, do you fancy a cup of tea? And he went, the situation's most intolerable. And I went, oh, and this fella appeared from nowhere, right in front of my face. And he went, His Royal Highness cannot just go willy-nilly, in a very posh voice, by the way, not like me. He said, can't go willy-nilly for a cup of tea. He's on a very tight schedule. And I went, yeah, all right then. So I just walked away and I went, listen, I'm getting off. And he went, and the prince was standing there, looking at me. And I forgot his name. I forgot how to address him. Everything. And I just went like that. See you again, Prince. And he went, okay. I just walked off. And honestly, it was just so nuts, so nuts.
Classic.
Do you know what, though, Anthony? I got a cracking letter off him about 6-7 weeks later.
Oh,
it was a beautiful letter, handwritten.
beautiful.
And he said, I had the most wonderful time. He said, the information you gave to me was remarkable. He said, thank you, and all this. Then he said, you reminded me, because we was having a laugh, going around.
Yeah.
He said, you reminded me of one of my favourite film characters. And I went, so, I'm reading it, I'm going, who's this? And do you know what? Caruso. Inspector Caruso. Peter Sellers. Miss. But what it was, and do you know what, though? Like later on, afterwards, and everything had calmed down, they were going. And I said to his PR, I said he knew a hell of a lot about Liverpool. I said, did he, lock us up when he was coming up? He said, no, he knew. He said, he's, major cities. He said he knows a hell of a lot about them. He never said hell, he just said he knows a lot about the major cities in the kingdom. Kingdom, he said.
And
I said, oh, that's great.
He loves St. George's, doesn't he?
Loves St. George's Hall. Yeah.
And as we've talked, and you've described many times, that area we're looking at now building up is absolutely phenomenal for someone who's not witnessed it in Liverpool. It's like part of Venice and Rome and everything have been made into centre point of Liverpool City.
Exactly. And he mentioned the church, the vlogs. He said, why did they pull that down? Well, that came down in 1896. And people even say today, why, why wasn't it? It's a myth, because people think that it was built back to front, that the front of it should have been into the, where the church is. I said, well, they couldn't do that because that's a cemetery and that's a church, and it had nothing at all to do with the site of the hall. I said the plateau itself was for when the trains came in from Lime Street Station, which is there, Lime Street, which is here. The rich people who could only afford to get onto the trains back in those days just came out of here and seen this spectacular building in front of them. And they still today, Anthony, they still come out and go, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've met loads of people, when they asked me to take them around, from around the country.
Yeah.
And they got off the train, and as soon as they come out, they go, wow.
I do. I mean, Laney and I stand there in awe in that spot. If you go and see a show as we used to do in Empire Theatre or wherever, and then you come out, and even nighttime when all the subtle lights are on, wow, it is
Exactly.
just amazing.
Exactly.
I,
Exactly.
it's you said as well last week, and you said before, when people kind of make up their own stories which are nothing to do with fact or truth. I mean, one I heard years ago was Harvey Lonsdale Elms uh, committed suicide because St George's Hall was built.
Built back to front. It's a myth.
What a load of tosh that is.
Yeah, of course. There's loads of myths. Do you know the statue? Yeah, this is another myth, and everybody's seen this. The statue, which is up London Road, facing TJ Hughes,
Yeah,
and it's a Roman emperor. Well, it's George III.
yeah,
Now, a fellow named George Westmacott designed and built it. Now, the thing is, the Romans, see, when people looked at it, and this is how the myth started, he's sitting there, it's supposed to be Caesar, one of the Caesars, but it's not. It's George III because he loved the Roman Empire, about the Romans. He loved that.
yeah.
And he had Westmacott to dress him up as a Roman emperor sitting on a horse.
Yeah.
So anyway, they said that there was no stirrups on it. And the myth started from then. I don't know when, but it did. That this sculptor committed suicide because he forgot to put the stirrups on the horse, for the Roman. Well, there are two things. One, the Romans were great horsemen, and they had no stirrups back in the day. So the roads without stirrups anyway. So Westmacott knew that. Now Westmacott, he also sculpted, Nelson's monument in Exchange Flags.
Yeah.
Where you see the 4 French prisoners, in chains. Well, he designed that as well. Now, rather than committing suicide, he lived to a ripe old age of 86 years of age, and he died of natural causes.
Yeah.
So you see the way myths are
Absolutely
displayed.
And that beautiful work of art in Exchange Flags has been heavily mythologized as well, hasn't it? There's stories about that which are not true. It's always going to be that, Frank, isn't it? If you do something and it's there and it's appreciated, there's going to be downside to that. There's
loads of downsides, yeah. I don't know why they do. I don't know why these myths, come about. I think it's something to say. That's all. But when you look at this, this is before all the rest. Like here, around here, the Sessions House was built. About there. The Sessions House. And here, right next to this is this is part of the library, but they built another library, which is here next to it. And right here, they built the Walker Gallery. So all this was before. And even the Technical College, which is next door to this, the wonderful library. It's a museum now. But what I want you to notice is this here. Now, what it was, when you walk down, it's all level. It's like a big bridge. So it's all level. So when they decided to build the Technical College here, It's just still there today. It's one of the great things, part of the museum now anyway. So when they built that there, they had to take away this. And when you look at the library in William Brown Street, you've got loads of steps going up.
Yeah.
Because they've taken this away, you see, this walkway. And lots of people, don't even imagine about these particular steps or this wonderful walkway that was there originally for people. And there are pictures. I've got pictures. I was looking for them today and I couldn't find them actually.
I'd love pictures of that. Yeah. So that came down as part of the new builds.
Yeah. The bottom, the very bottom of William Brown Street.
Yeah.
It was the technical college. And I'm going to show you something else here.
Yeah.
Bear with me.
Well, then on the site of our Walker Art Gallery was the original School of Art, which was the Royal Academy of Arts, Liverpool version, because they had one in London and they opened one in Liverpool, and again fueled by our dear hero William Roscoe.
Brilliant. I'm going to show you something here, Anthony.
Cool.
And I have shown you in Laney when we've been on walks, but these lads and girls won't have seen it. Now here, this is all being knocked down, and what you've got, you've got a fella named Horsberg who designs and built a wonderful, beautiful Art Deco building, and it's got a beautiful dome on the top, which is still there today. But here, right here, right there that is. Now don't forget, this is Dale Street. It's this is the bottom of Dale Street.
Yeah.
And right here was a house, right?
Yeah.
And what has happened? And you can just see the top of it actually. There, you can just see the top of it.
I see it, yeah.
Right, see it?
Yeah.
Now, on that site was a house, and it belonged to a fellow by the name of Robert Morris. Now, Robert Morris, he went to America. He said, there's nothing here, I'm getting off. So he decided to go to America, as you do. So we went over to the New World, and he became great friends with Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, with them all. And, they were all discussing about independence because they were paying lots of taxes to the British, the realm, George III's realm. He said, well, what are we paying taxes to them for? Don't forget, money is a big, massive thing, Anthony. As starts wars and everything. So what has happened was, they said, tell you what, shall we sign a declaration of independence? Let's be independent. So it'll be the Declaration of Independence away from the British rule. So they all went, yeah, all right, that'll be great, that. He signed that. Especially Robert Morris, who lived there, just there, site of. So anyway, he signed it, and he's the top signature, Robert Morris, along with the others.
Wow.
Now, what had happened then 2 years later, that was in 1774, 2 years later, the Armada went over, and there was the War of Independence, as we know. I've always said, about the American War of Independence, that it was a big civil war, English civil war, just like we had in 1642. You know what I mean? The English Civil War. It was another civil war.
Yeah.
Over 100 years later in America, because they were all English.
Yeah, of course.
Most of them were English. And don't forget, you had, new immigrants as well. They were fighting the English as well, especially the Scottish people.
Yeah.
Loads of Scottish people were fighting the English as well.
Wow.
You had the French fighting them. Oh, you had everyone fighting the English during the independence, the War of Independence.
Us Scousers get everywhere. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. That's civil wars and everything.
Yeah.
So what has happened? A sailor, he came back and he went, a Liverpool sailor, and he went, I met that Morris fella, he said, who's born in Zale Street. He went, yeah. He said, he's one of the signatories of the independence. So what we did, like Scousers do, they knocked his house down for being a traitor. Right, so they knocked it down and they built what they have today. Right there, it's a beautiful. In fact, it was the very first mansion to be built in Dale Street, because as you know, just here, right there, I'll just go across it. Right there, the bottom of St. John's Gardens is the Mersey Tunnel.
Yeah.
The Mersey Tunnel's right there. Right there. So as you know, this is the bottom of Dale Street. But isn't that a fantastic little story about Robert Morris?
That is wonderful. I have never, ever heard that before.
And but you know when you go to the Lyceum again, Anthony? Because you do go there, don't you?
I haven't been for a while, but yeah.
Well, okay, the next time you go, if I ever get better, this year, me, you and Lainey will go.
We will. And you will get better.
And what it is, I'll show you, because they've got them up in there. They've got the Declaration, the copies, but they're from that time.
Yeah.
And they've got copies of the actual Declaration of Independence. And you see Robert Morris's signature.
Wow. That is just absolutely fantastic.
That's when when I talk to these Americans, I tell you, I had, who did I have walking around? What's her bloody name? Gloria Estefan.
Yeah.
I had her, I was walking around and, with a band. And I was telling them about that. And they couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
They couldn't believe it. And I had the bosses, never forget it, the bosses of all this corporate stuff over in America, like the Walmarts, Macy's, and some other big things. I had them, I was asked to take them around, so I was taking them around and I was telling them all about. I was in St. George's Hall and I went and I showed them the statue of Henry Boot. The Henry Boot, the great Liverpool man, very flamboyant, and he put his money into the railway system, the first passenger railway system in the world. So I was saying to these, I said, there's the statue of him. And you see Henry Boot, standing there, and he's got a coupling in his hand. And I said, that coupling, I said, when the railways first started off, it only had rope pulling the carriages, and they kept snapping. So we came up with the idea of iron couplings so they wouldn't break. And they went, wow, yeah, isn't that fascinating? This is what they were saying to me. It's fascinating, this. So anyway, I said, but he has a cousin And he said, really? I said, yeah. He said, well, what's are these? They were excited, you know. He said, well, what did he do? Did he invent anything like that? I said, no. I said, he was an actor. I said, and his name was Julius Brutus Booth. He said, what a name. I said, yeah, Julius Brutus Booth. I said, but once, you know, people loved him in Liverpool. They loved him, and he used to walk around Liverpool because he was this fine actor. He was always, you know, Shakespeare. He loved playing Shakespeare, you know, the Shakespearean plays. And he used to go around, hello, you know, oh, yeah, Julius, I'm over here, you know. So he used to, hello, my lovely people. Oh, I hope you go to the theatre tonight to see me perform, you know, and all this flamboyant stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, I said, the manager of the Theatre Royal did a play. His son written a play. He said, you can't put that on. He said, it's terrible. And he said, I want you to put it. I want you to be the star of it, because he was under contract. And he said, I'm not playing that. He said, anyway, cut a long story short, he played it. And they actually booed him. And in those days, Anthony, I don't know whether you're aware, but, you know, if it was a bad performance or a bad play, they used to throw, like, you know, cabbage leaves and tomatoes and things like that. And he was getting pelted with them all. And he said, you know, you might think I'm making this. Go on.
That's someone messing with your career. That's your career over.
Oh, that's your career, God.
Yeah, no one hires you.
Yeah. And made up you said that, because he went like that. And I'm not joking. He went, my friends, my dear friends, I shall leave these shores forever. My dear friends. And they were like, oh, I'm going to leave now. So we left. And I'm telling this to these Americans. So anyway, he was standing, honestly, every one of them, they were like, you know. So I said, he went to America. And he has a son who follows him in his footsteps. I said, and his name was John Wilkes. And this America went, booed. I said, yeah. Who assassinated Abraham Lincoln. Scousers are everywhere.
Not a great look.
Oh, you know, you were amazed. You were like, wow. Who is this guy? I thought he meant John Wilkes Booth. I said, you say, no, who are you? You know, really mad it was. But that's the way it is, you know. Our wonderful Scousers get everywhere. Everywhere, Anthony.
And I love that. I love that whole thing. But it's also, as you described, it's the days of a new America, where, you know, it was open to everyone. Germans, Dutch, Spanish, French.
Yes. I'm going to tell you something about this here. And you know what this is here? Well, you won't know, because I know it's only a drawing and it's in black and white. Because London had people to go up and, you know, to the major cities. We were a very, very important major city during the mid-19th century. Yeah. So this great artist, he came up and he drew everything about Liverpool. And I mean, you know, sketched it up. Now here is the Collegiate.
Wow.
And the Collegiate, as you know, has had some fantastic, you know, patrons, to be honest. And he was one of them, you know. He was a little college boy there. It was Leonard Rossiter, you know, Rigsby.
Oh.
And also, remember the great Everton centre-half? Lovely man. I've met him loads of times. The late Brian LeBone.
Oh, yeah.
Gentleman,
giant of a man. I met him myself as a kid. Yeah, wonderful guy.
We was having a drink in the railway, funny enough.
Yeah.
And he said, "What are you doing being a red? I said, "I am born a red." And he says, "You should be a blue." I said, "I can't be a blue." He said, "Well, you should be because you're drinking with me." There was a few of us together. But that's what kind of a fella he was.
I know he was my dad's hero in the days when my dad got to see the match a lot. And I met him when we were kids, and it's just like the stories with Shankly, where if you see a bunch of kids playing football, you join in. And he was saying, I was going to paint him, as part of a head. And our dear mate, Bishop Tom, was going to set it up with Angela Heslop. Said, I'll take you and meet him. And sadly, he passed
on. He just went all of a sudden, didn't he?
Heart attack, yeah.
Yeah, just went.
I think it's just given like an audience, a talk, to fans and people, the way all the greats do, and aren't we lucky to have them?
But I was telling him about this, the collegiate, and when I told him about it, he was amazed because he said, he said, "I went there, and nothing like this has got told to us because, as you know, they wanted to pull that down, the collegiate, and me being me, I got wind of it. I said, because it was gutted, it went on fire, and people reckon, allegedly it was arson, just to get rid of it. Again, greed.
Yeah.
So at least I saved it because I went down and I said, "Do you know the historical significance of this?" He went, "Oh, what do you mean?" I said, "The historical significance of this is the architect." I said, "The architect was Harvey Lonsdale Elms, who designed St. George's Hall, and you're wanting to pull one of his great buildings down that has great history, and that's that." And he went, "Oh, well, anyway, I think I had my penitent in saving it."
Saved it. Fantastic. So
he has a voice. Now, do you see this here? This church, Anthony?
Yeah.
That church is St. Augustine's Church. And St. Augustine's Church was the church that a lady by the name of Jessie Crosby was involved in, and the school, St. Augustine's. And she actually seen kids running about in the Everton area, which was around here, all this working class area, which was shocking, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking. And they were filthy. And she decided to go to the utilities, the council, and say, "I want baths. Not like swimming pools or anything. I want baths in my school so I can wash these children. They've got no water in their homes." And they didn't. They only had a standpipe. These are all courts. They only had a standpipe at the end of the street. And that's where they usually have to get washed or whatever. So anyway, Jessie Crosby, and they named the heights, one of the heights that they built in Great Homer Street was named after her. Crosby Heights. And there was also another height called Mazzini Heights. Now, Mazzini Heights was named after Giuseppe Mazzini, who, along with Garibaldi, sewn the boots up of Italy, all the states, all these provinces that had their own states.
Yeah.
Sewn them all together to make one big, um, Italy. Now, Italy at the time, you might think, well, what does it have to do with us? Well, all the Italian immigrants were coming over.
Yeah.
They were all coming over. So they decided, I don't know who it was, when they were building these things, we could name it Mazzini Heights, after Giuseppe Mazzini. Whoever came up with that was absolutely brilliant, So you had Crosby Heights for a very, very significant lady, because what she used to do, she used to go out into the suburbs, the leafy suburbs, collect clothes of, the well-to-do people. I'm talking about children's clothes. And she used to go back to the school. She used to bait these kids. Well, she never, but people did. And put these clothes on because they were in rags.
Yeah.
And one was a very poignant story where the little boy, he was bathed. He had his hair combs, everything, Then all these clothes put on him. And he ran into his to show his mum. And she just turns around. She heard these footsteps, just turns around. She said, oh, Billy's out. He's out playing. She didn't recognize her own son because of Jessie Crosby.
Yeah. Yeah.
The great woman.
Yeah.
Who'll never be forgotten. Now there, you've got St. Francis Xavier's Church. See right there?
Yeah.
St. Francis there. Now, that it was strange because you had all the immigrants, especially the Irish, and they were all moving up towards where St. Francis Church is and the Collegiate. They were all going up there. And these Irish fellas, they used to have to traipse from there down to St. Anthony's and Scotland Road.
Yeah.
Now, these Irish, 4 of them, were very wealthy. And they were in there, the Rose and Crown.
Yeah. Beautiful pub. No,
it is, isn't it? It is a beautiful pub. And they were in there one day. And they seen this fella named J.J. Scholes, and he was an architect, and one of them said, he's an architect. He's a very good architect. And they approached him, and they said, would you build us a church? And he looked at them. Well, obviously, he must have known them, must have known that they were very wealthy people. And he said, yes, sure. He said, what kind? And this fella just drew on a tablecloth or something. One of the Irishmen, he said, yeah, can you do that? And he said, yeah, I'll do that. He said, what's that round thing? He said, well, I want a bit of Notre Dame, in Paris.
Yeah.
So what you see today, you see a round thing. And that's like part of the design of Notre Dame. Isn't it great? The way, and he said, yeah, so he built St. Francis Xavier's Church. Not only that, but more importantly, JJ, he built the Walker Gallery.
Wow.
He built the Walker Gallery. So you see the significance of these great architects.
Yeah.
What they went out and built, and there's always a story behind it. There's always a story.
There's always that influence, as we talk about, and you've talked about many times, would it be from the greats, from Rome, from Egypt, from Greece. Italy and Rome has got such an influence.
Oh,
Liverpool, the city.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Stop talking.
But that is a wonderful series of human stories, the connections.
champagne stuffed on me, would you believe it? Ah,
Have we got on the wrong bus?
I don't know what's happened.
We'll walk back into town.
Oh, yeah. There's our lads. At least we can say about it. These have been making comments. Let's see what they've been saying. I'm sorry there that I haven't been. I'm sorry I haven't been because I've been just doing that thing. And PK Bishop says, "Take care of your health, sir. Thank you." Well, I've got to get I've got to go tomorrow, which is very important. I have to put something in the doctors. I have to put it in. Very important for me. And Tony Jones says, "We always love turning in to watch you." I didn't know that, Tony. You and Philip. Thank you so much, mate. And Edward says, Marcus Aurelius, meditation, stoicism. Yes, it's very stoic. And I'm talking about, that is one of my heroes is Marcus Aurelius, because, as you know, I used to lecture about the Roman Empire, and he became one of the greats. To me, him and Vespasian, love Vespasian, Marcus Aurelius. Gary Rigby, even in Frank and Anthony.
Oh. Evening, Gary.
And Toscana, our Italian friend, he says, "Great show tonight, Franco. Very informative. Got you on my iPhone and the Leeds match on TV." I'll be doing a special, Anthony. I promised Toscana. I'll be doing a special one on the Italian migrants coming through. You don't mind?
Fantastic, Frank.
And the Irish?
I would be absolutely fantastic. Love it.
And the Irish. Oh, the Redbird. Frank and Anthony, being busy celebrating. Hope you're both good. Yeah, but
well, good.
Glad you're here. Glad everyone's here tonight. And Owen Lee, evening gentlemen, they say this man always comes out and says, "Evening gentlemen." Isn't that lovely? The gentleman now answer.
Good evening, Owen. Thank you.
And the Redbird, glad to see you again, Toscano. Toscana. Look, they're all letting on to one another. And the Redbird says, "To all our regular chatters, hope you are full of happiness and joy." Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely? Oh, Myra's still with us. Oh, shit. Hi, Redbird. And he says, "Hiya, Myra. Hope you're a good girl." Well, I try to be good. Myra, come on now. This is a family show. He's laughing his little head off. And Michael says, I heard he committed suicide because he forgot to put tongues in the lions' mouths. There's another myth.
Yeah.
That's another myth. That's another myth. And those tongues and the lions, you're talking about St. George's Plateau, Michael J., is that there was going to be down in London, like a Trafalgar Square, a monument to Nelson, where they were going to do this other, whoever it was. So it never got made. They didn't do it. So there was 4 lions up for grabs. And there was a fella named Waddington No, it wasn't. Forgot his bloody name. But it'll come to me. So, no, what's it? Warrington. Yeah, a fella named Warrington. Well, he sent for these lions. I'm going to show you something. I'll show you something, which is great, actually. He just reminded me there. Have I got it here? Yeah, I'll show you. So he sent for them. He said, we'll have them. So when he sent for them, I'm going to show you. I'll have to take this off again. I'm going to take that only for a minute. Because what was there, that's St. George's Hall Plateau. I know it's a bad copy, but they're two massive pillars. They are two massive columns. Look, see?
Yeah.
Now that's where the lions are. And they went, you know, because St. George's Hall, the outside was fantastic. And they had these massive columns, these big pillars, you know, to go inside with the pillars on the outside of the hall. Those massive columns.
Yeah.
So they were afraid in case wind, you know, toppled any one of them over or both of them. So they So they decided to take them away. Warrington Wood, his name is. And he sent for them. So we put those lions that we see today on the plateau.
Wow.
And he says they will guard the hall. And those, believe it or not, those columns were actually sent up to Sefton Park. God knows if they're still there. I just don't know. Sefton Park they went. So the lions are there. Now, that's why there's no tongues. And if you watch one of my DVDs that I did a few years ago, I'm talking about them lions. And you see on the rope of it, a big hole.
Me. It's
Is
me.
that you?
Yeah.
Looking for me phone. You're okay?
Yeah.
So anyway, and that was where the water was going, the jet was going to go into, for the water to come out of the mouth.
Yeah.
But, you know, as Michael J says, I have told that, no, because they were already made for water to come out.
Yeah.
So you see how myths start.
Well, myth busting is what we do.
Yeah. And Owen Lee says the architect of Picton Reading Room and more as a name straight out of Dickens' novel, Cornelius Sherlock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loved them. Now, Cornelius Sherlock, he went over. See, they all did. Every one of them. All went over to either Athens or Rome, but they mostly went to Rome. And Cornelius Sherlock, and he was looking at this particular building. And he went, that's the design I'm going to do, because he was commissioned to do a design, neoclassical. And he said, that's the building I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. Gave him the inspiration.
Yeah.
And if Jason was here, he'd show it, but I can't show it, unfortunately. I can't show it. But anyway, that's by the by. And that building is my favourite building in the whole of the world. What Cornelius Sherlock was looking at. And that was the Pantheon in Rome. And the Pantheon in Rome is built in Liverpool. It's incredible. It's incredible. This is what gives you the great architecture in Liverpool. They're not just like, I think I'll build a building and just drawn and say, yeah, I think I'll build that. Would you like that? Yeah, okay, we'll do that. It's just like when I mentioned about Alison Steadman and I was showing her the Juliet balcony, the proper one.
Yeah, on Bow Street.
On Bow Street. On Bow Street. See, these people, look, you've only got to look today, you know, the way some of the buildings are just built and just drawn it there to do that. Oh, yeah, that looks nice, put that up, without any other second thoughts.
Well, that's the artistry comes in, isn't it?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's something on a par with a remark I heard Billy Connolly talk about years ago. And someone was talking to him about great comics. And he said, when I started out, he said, there was about 1,000 comics and 12 good ones. And now, in the 2000s, he said, there's 57,000 comics and 12 good ones.
Yeah.
It's like that with art, it's like that with music, it's like that with architecture.
Yeah. I'm going to show you something. Oh, please let me have it. I've got it. I had it. And I put it down. Oh, I bet you I haven't got it now.
Yeah. Chris was just written the perfect headline for what we talked about earlier.
Just bear with me. I've got a message here for you. I know what it's about, like. And it says, hey, Frankie, can you ask Anthony if he is still okay to do a polar bear painting?
Yes,
He's doing it again and keep asking a little sod.
Oh, don't tell him, yes, I am. I'm on it. I've forgotten it in a minute. Yeah.
He's on it, yeah. He's on it.
I will get it to Frank. I'll get
Brilliant.
it to Frank. Yeah.
Listen, boys and girls.
We don't see many polar bears in Liverpool.
No. Oh, you don't even see them in grottos, do you?
No.
You know, you should have a polar bear in a grotto. You know, like Pinky and Perky. Remember them?
Yeah. And I don't know where it came from, but my mum grew up with a passion, loved polar bears. That was their thing. And yeah. But no, Darryl, I'm on it, honest.
I've got an old Liverpool Echo here. Hang on, I'll take me off again. And if any Liverpool fans want it, you can have it. Hang on a minute, I'll show you it. It's that. And it's when we beat, it's loads of pages. It's when we beat Barcelona.
Wow.
When we beat Barcelona 4-0. And if anyone wants it, they can have it. I'll give you this on the day of the parade. If you want it, that is.
I have got a couple of the Istanbul, the Echo, there, 2005, 2007.
2005, incredible.
Yeah.
Toscana says, Redbirds, I'm still celebrating champions. Can you believe it? Still celebrating Toscana. Christopher, Frank, did you get the tablet you need to take? Yeah, do you know what? I tried them today. And I've got to take one. When have I got to take? Got to take one in about 15 minutes. And take one at midnight. Every 4 hours. The arm's starting to pain now. Tony says, we are so very sorry to hear that you're not being very well. We really hope you make a good, fast recovery very soon. We have really missed your Liverpool tour. Thank you, Tony. And Phil, give Phil my regards, please. I didn't even know that you were up there, up in Blackpool. Didn't know that. Toscana, I can't stop smiling, bro, says the red bird. And Darryl, hey, Frankie and Anthony.
Hey, Darryl.
And Darryl says, thank you, Anthony, mate.
No, I'm sorry you waited so long, Darryl.
No, he knows the score. He knows the score. Right, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I really don't. It's gone, unfortunately. It's just, so, there we go. Oh, thank God for that. I bet you can't sit. No, I can't move it. I can't move it. Oh, not a shame. Oh, there's my thing gone. I don't think I'll be able to do anything. There's my mouse gone. God knows where it's gone. Things are due, Anthony.
I know, Frank. I know you're juggling it all. Have you got your history paper? Because we talked about you were gonna delve into that. Your beautiful history newspaper.
Yeah. This is what I'm doing. I don't know where it's gone. Anthony, I don't know where it's gone, mate. See, once Jason, I don't know, I've lost everything. I've lost, let's see, oh, Christ. I've lost, I'm useless, as you know.
Behave.
I just haven't a clue. Let's see. No. Let's see. No. Let's see. No. Stop sharing. Fucking hell. I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue what I'm doing. And that's the sad thing. Can't even get us both on. I should never have done this week because Jason gone. I don't know where he is. I don't know what the fuck this is all about. I just don't know. Oh, sorry there, boys and girls. I haven't a clue where I am. Don't know what it's all about.
Don't worry, Frank. Maybe quit that town and just go from the heart with the newspaper.
I can't even get the comments on. don't know what that's all about. I haven't a clue.
There you go.
But I haven't got I can't get the comments up. I haven't a clue, honestly. I'm not playing with Jason anymore. Oh, blimey. My thing's over there.
Technology is a wonderful thing when it works.
It's a wonderful thing if you can work it out, yeah. But
well, could be worse. We could be in Europe at the moment with all the power surges.
yes.
Wow, that's scary, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Blaming Putin. If anything goes wrong with the world, blame him. Oh, come on. What? I just don't know. I just don't. I'm having a clue, mate. I just have to. I tell you what. I'm sorry, there. Comments. I can't even see my mouse. The mouse is over there on this monitor, and I can't get it over to this monitor. No. I'm just trying to. Let's see.
The story you were telling before about Mr. Morris, who went and signed the Declaration of Independence. Did he ever come back to Liverpool?
Morris?
Yeah.
No, he didn't. He wasn't allowed. Never ever came back. Oh, this is ridiculous. I don't know what to look. Can't even get that up anymore. Do you know what? I might have to abandon. Just shit. This is stupid, this. This is stupid. I'm awfully sorry. And see, Jason goes out. Because these monitors I've got, I just don't know where I am with them. And I've got it's my mouse. God, I don't know. I just wish that I could, but I can't. I can't drag my mouse over.
You got none of your break movies there to run into?
Yeah, I was doing my films on Saturday. Then everything went. I'm not saying it went pear-shaped. You know, we had a great time.
Yeah.
We really had a great time talking about films. We talked about everything. To be honest, just talked about everything. And I was mentioning about a film called Doc Hollywood. And Michael J. Fox, you know, the way he is today.
That was in the 80s or early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen Doc Hollywood?
You know what, Frank? I don't think I have heard of it, and it was around, heavily promoted at the time, and I've got a lot of time for that lad. It is a.
It's so sorry for him.
Fighting him, Michael J.
I feel
Fox.
so sorry for him.
Yeah.
And do you know
Yeah.
what though? It's funny because he gets stuck in the middle of this rural place. He's on his way to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he has an accident, he pulls over somewhere and goes like through, and he can't stop. Anyway, he stops the car and whatever, crashes into this fence. And anyway, it turns out that he has to stay there because his car's damaged and these two mechanics. So anyway, this judge says to him, listen, you've got to stay here. We haven't got a judge, we haven't got a doctor anymore, so I'm going to give you community services, because what it was this fence, the judge's fence, he pulled down, crashed into. So he says, and I'm going to, you're going to get community service, so you'll have to be our doctor. So anyway, he gets called out to this couple, and you see the couple like that. Those are sweet, man.
I can imagine.
And he's got loads of little kids around them. They're like, and he comes in with his bag and he says, what's the emergency? And they said, they give him they just say, can you read that? And it was a letter. And he went, what do you want me to read it? They said, we can't read. So anyway, and he's reading the letter, from a cousin somewhere, wherever they lived. And she said, and Jackie Ann is seeing this Pakistani man, and no one can understand the words he's saying. He's reading this letter, like that, and he's just looking at them, and they're all sitting there like that. Oh, it was done off. The way he was just reading his house. What the fuck am I reading this thing out for? But it was a very good film. Funny. It was funny. And these stars in it that you knew of anyway. You knew. You know what I mean? And I'm talking good stars as well.
Yeah.
Can I get this one now? There's me chat back. I pressed that button. Do you know what? I think I'm being brilliant. I'm sorry there. I'm sorry there, boys.
And girls.
And girls. Thank you, Anthony, mate, says the devil. And the red bird says, big up, devil, lad. Callum. No, he's been celebrating Callum. Hello. See? Up to 20 times. Yes. Yes. And Tony says, we're here from next year. All shops will be stopping, taking cash and going cards only. That's in Blackpool. Yeah, well, that's the way it's going, unfortunately. It's all plastic and doing away with money. Do you know what I used to do, Anthony? I don't know about you. Do you know, like when you went shopping and you got your change? Yeah. Well, I always threw, we change in a glass, like a glass bowl it was. Yeah. For Sophia, and I used to give it as every Christmas. All the change in there. She used to get a change. Yeah. Don't do it now.
We still do the same thing. We have done. We've got a big old-fashioned whiskey bottle which we were given by Lane's dad, and it's full of slummy. I mean, we used to use it for tunnel and stuff like that.
And as Callum says, hello, Frank Thony.
Yeah. Hello, Callum.
I'm just seeing if I can get this bloody map up again. Most probably I can't.
What did you do to get the comments up?
I don't know. Don't ask.
Tap it on the side with a bit of a hammer.
Having a clue. Let's see if I can get this up. Oh. Oh. I bet you've done it wrong again. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh. Oh, come. There we are, back again. Do you know what? I was going to show something tonight, and I'm wondering if I've got it there. Just bear with me on this. Just bear with me.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable thing, you know. Oh.
Remember the tablet?
Do you know what? I thought it was better than that, and it's not. It's not. Oh. 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 Be finishing soon anyway. Let's see if I can.
Here we go.
No. Hang on a sec. No, I can't see it. No, you can't see it. And it's that thing here. I'll definitely get Jason. I'll definitely get Jason to do that for next week. Simply because it was a design. It was a design, and it was called the project that offers grandiose view of Liverpool. Should see. And do you know where it was going to go? Do you know where you know St George's Hall? You know St John's Lane?
Yeah.
And it was going to be where that market is, St John's Market. It was going to be put on that site leading up to Lime Street Station. I'll get the design for next week. Yeah. I know we've got it. I know we have it somewhere. Jason and I.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. It's a magnificent architectural design. And the unfortunate thing is, it never came about. I don't know what happened, but it was incredible. And Christopher says, in Spain today, Frank, there's been a countrywide power cut, no electric, so it's cash only for 24 hours, no cards allowed. Go away. Well, I'm not following the news, am I? But I know that all electricity is like, it just shows you, doesn't it? You know, like what goes on in the world. I think there's something going on.
There's something going on, and I feel I feel that we're beholden to some sort of greater power who's made everything go digital. You know, go Wi-Fi, you need Wi-Fi for that, you need Wi-Fi for that, you need this, bum, 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 bum. And when there's a surge, no one can cope.
No.
In the old days,
No.
you'd like the candle, you go to the shop, and you had to till, so it was cash, no problem. The world moved. Yeah. Tony.
Tony says, take your tablets, please. I'll be finishing soon, to be honest, Tony, so I'll make myself a cup of tea. Because normally we have a break, don't we, Anthony? But Jason's not here to put whatever he was going to show. We always show a piece of it. Film, DVD, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry about tonight. I just went mad. I don't know what happened.
Fine. It was fine, Frank. Everyone, including Tony,
You're all right, aren't you?
we're all good. What you told us tonight is going to take us all on another journey. We'll go and divulge the information to someone else. Fantastic. For me, it's always a learning curve coming on. So I'm honoured to be on, whatever happens.
But I wanted to do this, Matt. There was things I wanted to show. Yeah. Things that are there, on this particular map during the mid-19th century.
Yeah.
And what's there today. That was my plan. When I showed you about Robert Morris's house.
Yeah, yeah.
Things like that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't do it, unfortunately. See, once Jason's out of the picture, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Sorry to swear, but I am. Because, when I do the football pod, I'm just there doing it. I don't need to, and that's why he loves his history anyway, does Jason. And that's why he always watches it. Because if we're talking about a certain thing, as you know, Anthony, he puts it up.
He's on it.
He puts it right up.
Yeah.
Whereas I haven't got the tools to do it.
Yeah.
In other words, I haven't got the brains to do it. He has.
I could do it. I mean, I've worked. I'm not treading on Jason's toes, but I could do it bit by bit, scan certain parts in, and send them to you as images.
Christopher says the only hotels with power are petrol or gas generators.
Christopher, you know what's strange at the moment? Lainey told me today, I haven't been there for ages, but Costco, the big shopping mall, which is one from you, American owned or whatever, has recently, over the past couple of weeks, started selling generators.
Now they are. Come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, generators are a specialised thing. You know that.
Yeah.
You know that. And they get sold to, the likes of rural farms, just in case their electricity goes up. If we're a pair of farmers, we're going to buy one. We are going to buy. You don't go down to Costco and buy a generator, do you?
Because you don't think
someone
turn the lecky off on you.
Yeah.
But
you just don't do it.
I don't know the ins and outs of the European thing. Maybe Christopher knows more than me, but it just seemed to me strange because I learned today 2 bits of information. A, that there's a power shutdown, and B, American-owned Costco are selling generators. We would never in England think of, let's go, a generator,
No chance.
You buy a box of candles, that's as far as we go.
I know that an emergency, all hospitals has like an emergency like supply just in case they're doing an operation and something goes up, bang, it's on right away. So they're already built in.
And hospitals and the like.
Yeah, the hospitals. Yeah. But if you think about what you've just said, that Costco are all of a sudden are bringing in. Don't forget, these Americans are money mad, and they're not interested what happens in Europe. I do know that they're not interested. As long as there's money to be made in Europe, as long as they're all right. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as they're all right. It's just
strange times, Frank.
It's not only straight, the dangerous times, because what you've got today, which we're on the precipice, is Pakistan and India at loggerheads, and they are two nuclear powers.
Yeah.
Nuclear. And they're very volatile. Christopher says, I watched a Benidorm vlog about it earlier today.
Wow. Wow.
You've heard of David Icke, haven't you?
Of which?
David Icke.
Yeah.
Right? And he's predicted all this, you know.
Yeah.
He's predicted tsunamis, terrorist attacks, wars. He's predicted them all.
Yeah.
And I'm going back years ago as well.
Remember?
What he's predicted. And I'm actually doing something this week, Anthony, if you're interested in it, to listen there. I'm doing these people who prophesied.
Yes.
You know, going back hundreds of years ago, what they prophesied.
Yes.
What's going to happen. Not so much the likes of Nostradamus, because his prediction that are up, you can't make heads or tails of them, but it's only what some people interpret from it that you're getting.
Yeah.
Now, I read something, I always remember reading about JFK, you know, what he predicted, that, someone's going to get killed. It didn't say that. I think I've got a bit of intelligence, and, I was trying to say, where does it say this? Like the prediction, because it's all like encrypted.
Yeah. This is
you can encrypt anything and say whatever, all right, you can encrypt it. Comes to me, and I'll just say, yeah, okay, and give my interpretation of it, and people will believe it or disbelieve it, if you know what I mean.
And if I own newspapers and the magazines or the television program, all of that. There was a lady who passed away a few years ago who they rated as equal to Nostradamus. And forgive me, I've forgotten her name. Baba someone. And she was on the modern spectrum of predictions. The Princess Diana and onwards from there. I think up till the late 90s, absolutely fascinating to hear about. And, it goes back to as well some of it. I mean, your friend, our friend, because I've had the pleasure of being on your show with her, Kayla Smith.
Kayla.
Yeah, and there's people who can tune into something, and walk to a room and say this, about it, which is, there's more we don't know than we do know. And David Icke still is a fascinating guy. I watch him on occasional little YouTube things that pop up.
Do you
They
ever
try
remember
to,
when he first came out, though, Anthony? And they were
yeah,
saying he was a charlatan, and they were really lambasting him as though
they,
he was a complete and utter idiot.
they call him a lunatic.
Yeah, it was shocking what they were doing.
Yeah.
If they, if anyone comes out and says anything about anyone, you can either believe or disbelieve it. But when you start lambasting their people who are saying, look, this is going to happen and is happening. I think one of his first ones, his first prediction was a nuclear disaster in Japan when their nuclear power just went
Yeah,
pear-shaped,
yeah,
and we were very, very lucky.
yeah.
And another a tsunami um, in Thailand, a
Which we had.
tsunami in Thailand, and he also predicted a hurricane and tsunami at the same time called Katrina around the New Orleans area, and he predicted all this. So,
Yeah,
so that's what I'll be talking about. The likes of these people who've seen the future, and the likes of, I think he's great, this fella, H.G. Wells. He
H.G. Wells.
predicted so much in the future, Anthony. So I'll be talking about him. I'll be talking about the wonderful Orwell, George Orwell. I'll be talking about him too.
Yeah,
Even Leonardo da Vinci. No, with
yeah.
Da Vinci, he had this brain mindset that he'd seen what was going to happen in the future. He drew it.
He drew it. Yeah,
He drew it.
and
And
he's on many times at saying he despised war
we
because it
despised war, yeah.
only means death, and it's a
Yeah.
no-win situation. But he could design anything from walls, bridges, helicopters,
Yeah.
missile
Submarines.
launches. You know,
See, so I'll be talking about people like them. Jules Verne.
yeah, that fits in with your H.G. Wells things and
Yeah,
the concept of time travel.
yeah.
How would someone know that this thing unless went there, came back? There's all of that kind of. It's absolutely.
Do you know what one of the most fascinating things was as well, Anthony? There were two pilots, and what they wanted to do, well, they became the very first pilots to cross the Atlantic in a plane, the very first. And it was very dangerous then, very dangerous, right? So they did the Atlantic run. And then someone asked them to go over the North Pole. And they said, yeah, sure, to go around it, and photographs then was still it's still in its infancy, put it that way. And to take photographs, from the plane
Yeah,
around the North Pole, go over the center of it, at a height rather than, with the likes of Perry and Scott, when they went on foot. So
yeah,
to fly over it, they wanted a new concept of the pole, if you know what I mean,
yeah,
from the air. So they said, yeah, we'll do that. And their last radio broadcast was this. And it was fascinating. As they were flying over, they said, like so many miles away from the pole, and we're coming up to it now, and it was a clear sky. There was no snow, no nothing. So they were coming up to it, and they said, there's an odd thing in the distance. This is the radio broadcast back. There's an odd thing in the, he said, there's something black on the surface. We'll let you know more about it. So they're still talking, they're still in communication with base. So as they were flying over it, now don't forget, people have been on foot, never from the air, right? So he said, we're coming up to it. And they said, we're over the black hole. This is their broadcast. This is their message. We're flying over the black, and it's incredible because what we're seeing is rivers and trees and valleys. And that was the last broadcast.
Wow.
They just disappeared. So, more or less morally and dragged into it.
Well, something sucks them into it.
Yeah. And that was their last broadcast. So it's things like that, I'll be talking about. I'll be talking about also, I'll tell you, we'll talk about it now, on Friday, is that some lad, got off the bus in town, and he was going up to Bold Street. And all of a sudden, he went into it, and he was back in the 30s, not the 30s, the 20s. People, dressed like funny. And he was looking around, and he got frightened. He got frightened.
You would?
But this was in the Echo years ago. And this is like from the 60s. And he was frightened because he knew that he was in another time period. And he was stuck there until something happened and he walked out of it. But no one would believe him.
Wow.
Nobody would believe him. Now, you know Tom Slemon, don't you?
Yeah, I've never met him, but I know his work.
He's a lovely fella, very, he used to say to me, he said, can I borrow your voice? I said, what for? He said, because you can project your voice, when you're giving talks and that. Anyway, he said that there's a time thing in Bold Street.
Wow.
In Bold Street.
Again?
Now, one of my students, I didn't say anything, honest to God, I didn't say anything. One of my students, a lady, when we finished, the lecture and that, she said, can I have a word with you, Frank? I said, yeah, sure. Finished, so sat down. And I was going for a cup of tea in the staff room. So I said, yeah, I'll come and have a cup of tea. So anyway, she came in, middle-aged lady, and she sat down and she said, what I'm going to tell you, you're not going to believe. I said, oh, okay. No, I hadn't seen this lady, never seen her before. She was new, right? And what she told me, I'd never seen her again afterwards. She only wanted to tell me this, so she joined the class just for that day.
Wow.
And what she told me, she said she was walking along Rodney Street. And she was on the right-hand side walking towards the cathedral, the Anglican cathedral. So anyway, she was on that side, and she said, all of a sudden, she said, about 20 yards away on the opposite side, this fellow walks around the corner and he was dressed in Victorian gear. And he was walking along, with this big beard and top hat and whatever. And he had this dog. And the dog was just in front of him and coming back to him and going. And she said, I thought they were making a film. I thought they were making a film, and he was a character out of the film, like whatever. She said, I looked back down Rodney Street. She said, there was nothing there. And then I was looking at him. She said, then I kept on walking, then turned around, seeing him, and he was still walking down with the dog. She said, because he got to the top of Rodney Street. And I turned around again, and he was gone. She said, he couldn't, not within the seconds that, when I looked at the cathedral and turned around again to see him, he'd just gone because there was nowhere to go. She said he just disappeared. He just disappeared within less than 3 seconds of me looking like that and saying, the last time she seen him, it was 3 seconds before, in other words, and he disappeared. I said, could he have gone into it? She said, no, could never have gone into a house. Could never have gone into it, not within 3 seconds. She said, I seen a man. Now, I think she heard me saying about an incident that happened with a taxi driver. And a taxi driver went to Rodney Street to pick someone up, facing the, facing St. Andrew's Church, but it wasn't done up then as it is today. It was still like, empty and dilapidated.
Yeah. In
Rodney Street. And the cemetery's next to it, isn't it? With the pyramid.
Yeah.
He said, and I'm sitting there waiting for this fair to come down. And then all of a sudden, he said, I'm looking like that. And he said, something caught my eye. The back of me. He said, and I looked over. He was on the opposite sides of the cemetery, waiting for this fair, you see. He was more or less on the side. Because I said, you're on the wrong side of the road. He said, yeah, but I was partly on the curb because who I was waiting for was harder walking. So, rather than cross the road, and it was late at night as well. It was around 11:30. And then this thing he's seeing the corner out of his eye. I'm just going to have a swig of this. Forgot about this. Oh, that's nice. Anyway, Anthony, walking along, and he said, I just followed him. He said, I just followed this fella. He said, but he wasn't dressed like normal. He was dressed old-fashioned. That's how he put it over. Unlike the lady. Unlike the lady who said that this fellow was dressed in Victorian gear. And as I said, she said, I thought they were making a film. Right?
Yeah.
Now, this fella said he was old-fashioned. It was old-fashioned. Never gave a specific, like, whether it was 20s, 30s, or even 40s, or the Victorian gear, Edwardian or Victorian. He just said old-fashioned, so it could be anything. he said, and all of a sudden, now don't forget where the pyramid is. There's railings there. Railings.
Yeah.
And he walked into the railings and just disappeared. And he said, my nerves went. He said, I was shaking. I was shaking like a leaf in a wind.
Yeah.
He said, I was shaking. Then this lady came out and I had to help her out. And he said, something, must have told her something's wrong with me. And she said, are you all right? And he said, yeah, he put her in the cab, drove her wherever she went, and he finished his work. He finished his work, went home. And it wasn't, his wife was in bed or in bed the next morning. And he told her what had happened. And it frightened him.
It is frightening. But you know what, Frank? I've walked past that church, bearing in mind our conversations over the years. It's a heavily historic area, Rodney Street and stuff. And I think it was Tom who, in one of his books, or it could have been when we were talking to your friend Jamie. No, the psychic guy who said that area of town is regarded as the most haunted area.
Tom Slemon it was.
Yeah.
It was Tom. And Tom mentions about Bold Street and wormholes. That's what I was thinking of before. Wormholes, he said.
Yeah.
He knew a few people. I'm sorry there, but he knew a few people, he said. He was spoken to, who went through a wormhole.
There's so many stories you've said as well about, our very own body snatcher. All of that stuff in the area. But even before we'd met, even before I met Lainey, I used to kind of walk at pace along those roads, certainly past that church, the Pyramid Church.
It's mad, isn't it?
You wouldn't
You get a vibe.
Yeah.
You get a vibe.
You do get a vibe that says run.
You do get a vibe. And as you mentioned about Hope Street as well and the body snatcher.
Yeah.
You see, people forget that we had our own body snatchers. I'll ask Jason to put that clip up for next week.
Yeah.
When we do the history show about the body snatcher.
Oh.
Because we had our own back in there. And people forget that.
Couldn't believe it when I heard you. And it's like, wow.
But there was lots of murders. The warehouses. Now, don't forget, the next time you come out of there, you go in and you come out feet first. That's it.
Yeah.
To freedom. Feet first, you're dead. And into a lime pit. And there was lots of murders. Yeah, well, I'm not saying lots. I'm not saying loads of it. But there was a few murders. People not going back. People not going back into the workhouse. And they just went missing. But these people were being murdered and pickled and sent up to, via Glasgow, then over to Edinburgh. That's where Burke and Eyre applied their trade.
And the doctors?
Yeah, for the surgeons. And even here, even here, where the everyman is, you've got right next door Clark Rampling's design of the medical centre.
Yeah.
1837. Magnificent building. And I've actually given a lecture in there to, believe it or not, 240 Royal College of Art Surgeons. in this amphitheatre. And when you think about it, Anthony, and these people going missing from over the road where the workhouse was, think about it.
Yeah.
Because they did experiments on, bodies. Like operation, cutting them up and everything else. Just like the bodies that Birkenhead and this other fella, our body snatcher, did, for these medical purposes. So the people in the workhouses were nothing to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anthony, I'm going to finish. I've got to apologise. And Michael J says, any chance we can discuss the suicide of Virginia Giuffre? Yeah, I'll do that. Definitely do that, Michael J. On Friday. I'm sorry about tonight. And even to the chatters, I wanted to show loads.
It was a great journey, Frank. Technology in the middle didn't matter. It's a great journey. I think everyone would agree that we've all learned something new.
Yeah, but I went off on us. I wanted to show loads. There was smashing things, to show. And what's that? When I was talking about, like before the library and
yeah,
what was there about the church, St. Anne's Church, and who was buried there.
yeah.
The likes of Wyndham Sadler, but there was other things like that. Do you know what else it was going to show? The gibbet, top of London Road.
Ah.
I was going to show that.
Yeah.
But I will talk about them next week because there's a few characters which are well worth mentioning.
Yeah.
About what they got up to and what happened to them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kick Jason's head in. I'm going to see him.
What are we on next week then, Frank?
I'm not telling you. I'm going to say.
Is that Jason? I can't leave you two alone for 5 minutes.
Oh, we'll be all right next week. We'll be all right next week. But I don't know what day.
Don't worry. I'll
It's either Monday. It'll either be Monday or Wednesday.
That's fine, Frank.
So it's either or. In fact, I might have 2 history shows if you're all right with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you be all right with 2 history shows?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mark Simons. Look at this fella, right? Look at this fella here. Mark Simons. Great show, lads. Good night from sunny Gibraltar. Give it back to Spain.
Oh.
Me and Anthony are getting out a petition. Give Jim back to Spain.
We had 5 minutes of sun today. It was brilliant.
I've got to go to the doctor's tomorrow, and then I'm going to sit out to get some vitamin D on my stupid face because I really need to get it. Anyway, Christopher says, night Frank and Anthony and everyone, and up the title winning Reds.
Good night, Christopher.
So we'll do that. I'll make sure that Jason's here. I want to really do this. I really want to do this map and give people a chance to have a look at some of the things. I think it'll be great. In fact, I might have, the map behind us.
Yeah.
The big coloured one. I might have that. Because what I want to show is a few windmills and why windmills were there as well.
What is
so I'm going to ask him to do that one.
Yeah. Well, whatever
Go
way you go with it, yeah. But what is beautiful to look at when you're doing the maps is the absolutely gorgeous churches, architecturally gorgeous, that were I'd say dotted, but there were a lot of them. The city was full of them. Beautiful.
And look what they are now. What's it turning into flats for students? You can't make these things up.
Aye.
You can't make them up. Which is a shame. But anyway, Anthony, thank you. And the most important people, as you know, Anthony, are these good people on here that chat.
Absolutely.
Who kept us going through the good times and bad times.
Thank you, guys, one and all. Been brilliant.
Yeah. So what I'll do, people, you football fans, I'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening after that. But I'll definitely be on Friday. I'll talk about that Virginia Guthrie and death, shall we say. Death. See, I never forgive the establishment. Ever. Never. So that's what it's all about. Tomorrow night it'll be Liverpool Football Club celebrations.
Yeah.
But most importantly, we've got to look forward now to next season.
Yeah.
This is the crux of it. And the recruitment. We need recruitment. And just for me to say a big thank you to Anthony. And don't forget, Anthony, twice next week.
Yeah.
Okay. And most importantly, to you out there, people, thank you so much for keeping Anthony and myself company tonight. And I'm sorry about what happened with my IT expertise, which is zero. So I'll see some of you tomorrow night. Thank you so much. Good night now. Good night.
Good night.
And as the Italians say, ci vediamo, a domani. Buonasera.